don't care. It's about the music, and it's always about the music. I also will not care before I listen to a track if people have been working their arse off or not. Because if the music stands up for what it is, the music stands up for what it is. It's that simple. I'm not swayed by people that I already know. I don't subscribe to nepotism at all. I will not do it. So I take the piece of music, and if the person that's made that music is a complete cunt as well, and I know them to be a complete cunt, I don't care, because it's the piece of music that matters. So if that piece of music I relate to, then that's what carries it. And then if I see those people then becoming successful, I'm happy for them. And I hope that everyone that I play on my show, I hope the very best for them. But it really is on a per-track basis. It's really that simple. It's really that simple, because we don't really have the time for relationships with artists. I choose to not really have friendships of a deep level within the industry. I have friends and people that I really respect, but I stay out of it because I don't want to be swayed by anything. Yeah. So I take the music as a pure form. Each piece is a time capsule, and it's a pure form. And do I relate to it? Yes, I do relate to it. Has that person had a lucky track? Maybe they have. Has that person been working for 3 or 4 years? Finally, they get a track to me and I really, really like it? Maybe, but that doesn't matter. It's the track itself. It's really that simple.
Yeah, the music is the foundation.
Yeah.
So this is a misconception. It's like, you say it's the high life. The only point of the high life is actually the performance, is the DJ, is the work. And of course, seeing some friends, that's too, that can be very nice. But coming in from Paris, having to take everything out your bag, watching a guy before you actually almost ending up in a fist fight with the security in Paris, an old guy like about 60 because he was being abused, and he was abusive back, and then sitting on the plane, not sleeping, almost missing the plane because the taxi didn't come, getting on the plane, sleeping like that for half an hour, then landing in Edinburgh, then getting in a van, sleeping in the van, wrapping your arms in the seatbelt for 45 minutes. That's not really the high life, is it? This is the high life here.
Is it worth it? No.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's worth it. Otherwise, you know, it's not worth doing. But it's not like walking around like on rose petals with champagne being thrown at you. And I wouldn't want that anyway. But when you perform to an audience that understands your music, then it's all worthwhile.
I just want everything to sit together and not use energy that's available for other things to come through. Because if you got some sort of if you're lazy with your EQ and everything's coming through, and then you got something which, you know, like a mid-range that you need to come through, but you got a bass there which is also taking up the mid-range space, then it doesn't tell the story very well. And I've always learned that it's best to be, you know, give everything its own space to tell the story, and that's what I've always tried. And with analog EQ, it's not really so much EQ, it's more psychoacoustic, I think. But with analog EQ, you could never be that precise. You know, for me, I've always not been that satisfied with analog EQ as a tool. And then digital EQ was always great. I mean, for me, I'd use very, very basic in the form of maybe a filter in the old samplers and move the filter notch along to find out where I wanted something cut off. But for me, digital EQ is definitely very, very important. And actually, I use the BX almost for everything if I want to surgically touch something. Every day. I mean, like, for me, just to listen to techno on its own would be very, very difficult and very, very
not what I'm about. I mean, I just love music full stop, and so I listen to new music all the time, every single day, always looking for something new, always looking for something new that's old. I mean, like that Grace Jones cover of Me I Disconnect from You came out, and that's really nice to listen to as well. So always listening to new music all the time.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about that then, and what do you think the future forms of techno? What kind of techno? It's gonna be minimal, it's gonna be maximal?
I think it's best not to predict, but just to do. Because if you...
What do you see from the demos that you get from new artists?
There's a lot of good music out there, and actually one of the good things is that it's less putting it in a box now, because before, music was always subliminally made by a lot of people before hopefully putting it out on a label. But now most labels don't really exist anymore, so they do it for themselves. And in that way, that freedom has actually made techno and electro a lot wider and a lot more fun, actually. People forget with techno that techno kind of invented production techniques for everyone else. Without techno, there would have been samplers, there wouldn't have been sequencers. Everyone was still using Pro Tools and stuff, and techno actually forced a lot of technological change, because techno was always looking forward, except for the whole thing with vinyl. But the making of techno was always about technology and techno should go hand in hand and lead the way, and they still do. This is great, and then end up with a really bad back, and then have to wait in the luggage belt for like half an hour, and it was always the last fucking things that came off the luggage belt as well. So like, you're sitting there waiting there, and then I worked out that if I could carry my bags on as hand luggage, I would save myself roughly 5 days a year. You can come in, it's okay. Okay. C'est bon. Thank you. I can still not play maybe 20 or 30 records in there. And it just made more sense, and I became more concentrated on what I wanted to play. And why carry loads of records around when you don't have to? I mean, ideally I'd love to carry around maybe 25 CDs in my pocket, so I don't look like a DJ and not have to carry anything, stick it in there. That would be great, but CDs, when you DJ with them, they feel like shit. So I am a camel and those are my humps, and I have to carry them around throughout the jungle. Detroit music meant so much to me when it was coming through. It was utterly inspirational. I mean, for me, Robert Hood, Jeff Mills, Mike Banks, what they were doing was utterly inspiring, each in their own way. And then, of course, you had Blake Baxter. Then you had, I think, the second or third generation of people coming through like Clarke. And then all of a sudden it was just a whole global scene. But the whole Detroit thing was utterly inspirational. For me, Juan Atkins was incredible. I mean, electro, techno, deep. I still never understood jazz is the teacher as the motto, because I fucking hate jazz. But I understand what he means now from the whole vibe of how passionate the people are behind it.
My studio is quite digital. My last studio, and which still is a studio, is quite digital, but this one is going to be completely computer-based. I'm going to be using a lot of Waves plugins, actually all the Waves plugins, a lot of SSL plugins as well. Whereas my real studio in England has a lot of authentic outboard gear, so it's going to be interesting to see how I deal with it.
Isn't there any gear you can't do without?
Compressors. I always need compressors, and it's going to be interesting to see if I can do it without hardware compressors, because I love the SSL hardware compressors. I love Empirical Labs, Avalon, Smart Research, lots of interesting compressors, and that's what I think I might miss in reality.
I do. I mean, I find that there's a lot of great feedback to White Noise, which gives me massive happiness, because a lot of these artists, it's very difficult for them to financially sustain their career. So I give them that, and you know, I'm playing music that maybe people don't expect me to play, like electro, for example. Even though I've been playing electro since I was fit enough to breakdance. Unlike your guys at Westlife, I think.
We had a big chat about Westlife before.
He did, I didn't. But so you play this electro, and all of a sudden people go, "What is that?" And you know, I mean, for example, there's this guy, I always mention him. His name is Missoula. Made some really cool records, if records is a term nowadays, but makes really good music, and people get clued up onto that, and it's great. And then you see that some of those artists might get tracks signed to a smaller label which is specific with electro, and maybe you're helping people get on their way where they deserve to be going.
Some techno DJs that are really into their techno be fucking up music. That's the whole point. Each record is a tool, and then you use that tool in the way that is specific to the way you feel, and you can do shit with it that no one else can do. I can get totally enwrapped in what I'm doing. It just envelops me, and I just become so technical in my mind that I just have to do what I have to do. You just get totally sort of like, I don't know. I mean, I like to actually look at my hands, yeah, but look at them doing things which I'm not telling them to do. But I'm actually just working off the music in my head.